best, like no one ever was.
Hey guys, JB here with a pretty special Pokemon video today. I'm going to be showing you some gameplay footage from Pokemon Go, which was released yesterday now, the 6th of February. So I'm just going to show you a bit of gameplay from my phone and a few of the mechanics. As you can see, it does come here with a bit of a warning to make sure you're aware of what's going on around you when you are playing the game. You're not walking into traffic or anything like that when you're searching for Pokemon. Just having a bit of a basic look at the gameplay, and the game does come with the instructions as to how to use the map. As you can see there, currently talking about Pokestops, which are different locations where you can interact with and basically collect Pokeballs, eggs, and other items from those locations, as well as gyms, which I'll talk about a little bit more in detail later on in the video. And there's a couple of different ways in which you can interact with a gym and other players as well. As you can see here, this is me catching one of my first Pokemon just in a second here. Just looking at a local gym, but this first one was a Mankey that was sort of hanging out there in my bedroom. As you can see, I'm getting ready to do a Japanese booster box opening there. So that'll be up in the next couple of days. But Mankey just decided to come in and get a preview. So it's a pretty simple mechanic for catching your Pokemon, flicking your finger across a screen, just as you would a lot of other sort of ball toss games on your phone. As you can see, that one was caught pretty easily. The Pokemon strength in Pokemon Go is governed by what's called combat points, CP. There, as you can see there, for this Mankey, it was only 11 with a combat point, so pretty low on the scale. You get bonus experience for catching Pokemon that you haven't caught before, and when you catch a new Pokemon, you do get a couple of the in-game Stardust and Candy, which I'll talk about a bit more as we go through as I catch other Pokemon. As you can see here, it's just sort of interacting with a couple of the Pokestops. Here we are. I was in my car at the local shopping centre just getting some lunch, and I had a Pokemon appeared. I was kind of searching around for, well, it tells me it's around me, but where is it? And then I turn around and have a look in the back seat, and there's this Zubat flying around. Many of my nightmares as a kid, going around Mount Moon with Zubats everywhere. But anyway, so as you can see, it takes a couple of goes to make sure you get the toss right. And if you're moving around a bit, it does make it certainly a bit more difficult. As you can see, the usual 3 shakes, and then you catch the Pokemon. So it's a Zubat. For this one, as you can see, just up here on the next screen, when it'll start talking about the Stardust and the Candy. So that one I got 400 Stardust and 3 Zubat Candy. Now what you use with this candy for is to evolve the Pokemon. So depending on the Pokemon, depends on how many candy you will use. So the idea of the game is to catch the same sort of Pokemon, and then you can use that candy and that Stardust to either make it stronger, or in some cases make that Pokemon evolve. There are still some questions about how that mechanic will work for a Pokemon such as Eevee solutions, so we'll just have to wait and see as to how that happens. I have read on various sites it can take sort of 100 candy to evolve a Gyarados from a Magikarp, so you need to catch 30 or so Magikarp before you're able to evolve that into a Gyarados. What we're seeing here is a bit of an extended play. I gave one of my colleagues, Alan, a lift home from work tonight, and as you can see, he was having a go at Pokemon Go while I was driving the car. The pink emblem you can see there is a poker point, a poker place where you can interact and collect. Like I said before, those Pokeballs and those eggs, which you can hatch in game. We'll talk a bit about them later on as well, but it does operate very similar to in the DS or the Game Boy game, whereas as you cover territory, the egg comes closer to evolving. So the ones I've seen so far vary from 2, 5 to 10 kilometers in the distance that you need to carry. As you can see here, I'm sort of driving down the road, as you can see those points where you can interact and collect items. As I head further down the road here, you can see a gym. which looks like it's currently controlled by the blue team. Now there are 3 teams in the game: red, blue, and yellow. And depending on which team you're in and which team the gym belongs to, depends on how you interact. So if the gym is owned by your team, then you can leave a Pokemon there to help fortify or defend or interact with opposition players or players on the same team even at the gym. You can only interact with the gym though once you reach level 5, so at this point I hadn't reached level 5. So Pokestops is the official term for those locations, and as you can see here, Alan has caught a Sandshrew on the first go. Pretty nice throw there to get that one in. That one was pretty easy. Like I said, depending on the strength of the Pokemon, makes it harder to catch, as you'll see a little bit later on in the video. So there you go, 100 Stardust and 3 Sandshrew Candy for catching that one there. Like I said, you use the candy to evolve the Pokemon. So as we can see, we're driving down the road here. Then we just happen to have an Ekans across the road. So I think I doubled my Pokemon count on this drive here. So Alan's done well for me. It is like most of the freemium games where you can purchase in-game currency, which appears to be Pikachu coins. And then you can use those coins to buy more Pokeballs, potions, revives, and incense, which is a sort of works the opposite way a repel does in the game, as it attracts Pokemon to you. So here we go. We're still driving down the road here. Down on the bottom right hand side of the corner, it tells you sort of what Pokemon are near you. Obviously, if you've previously caught one, it'll tell you what it is. Otherwise, you can see the sort of shadowy figures there for Pokemon I hadn't caught at this particular time. So obviously, it's clearly an Onyx there, and generally you might see, like it says you just saw there just before that Zubat popped up, sort of a flash of grass, again like you might do in the game if you were using the Poke Radar to do some Pokemon hunting in game. You'll see the ruffle in the grass, that indicates that there is a Pokemon there who can be caught. So as you can see here, yeah, still travelling down the road here. We come up a little bit further, you do actually start to see quite a few Pokestops. There you start to see those blue ones just there, and as you get closer, sort of in with that 10-15 meter radius, you can then interact with that and collect Pokeballs and eggs. They're the 2 items I've found so far at these locations, and then you can see just popping up there a whole mass of them along the road there, including a gym, which looks like it's that particular one is being the first Pokemon you would interact with at that gym would be a Zubat, whether that's either to train one of your own Pokemon, or with your own team's gym, or fight someone from another team. By the end of this video, I do actually get to level 5, so the next video I'll do for you guys, I'll spend a bit of time in the gyms and discussing the mechanics of how that works with strengthening your Pokemon in the gym. But as you can see, we're further just travelling down the road here as I head to drop Alan in the city. After work this evening. So as you can see, the maps are pretty detailed, and I found that they're pretty true to what's around you. I don't know whether it ties in with Google Maps or they have their own particular software. I'm on Android here, so that would be the software that would be on my phone. As you can see here again, Rattata, low combat points, so relatively easy to catch, 100 Stardust and 3 Zubat Candy. And as you fill your Pokedex up, there are rewards there for you to get as well. Here we go, interacting with a Pokestop here, and bang, three more Pokeballs. Now I haven't run out of Pokeballs yet, but you can again purchase them in game. Ideally, if you are walking around a fair bit, you can interact with enough Pokestops to keep your items fully stocked, rather than having to go through and purchasing them. So. And again, you can see a Spearo's just popped up here. Again, sitting in the front seat of my car catching Pokemon, as you do on a Wednesday evening. So the good old 3 shakes, and then the Pokemon's caught. I'm sure some of you may have seen some of the memes floating around about Pokeballs that shake 3 times and then break open of reasons why I have trust issues. Very much the case. So many wasted hours catching legendaries in the original 3 games, which I still do prefer. I am currently working through Pokemon Yellow on my DS, so keep an eye out for some gameplay videos from that. But as you can see, the Pokestops seem to be pretty arbitrary as to what they can do. Around in my place, it was sort of, a park bench. When I was at work, it's actually just like the fountain out the front of work is actually one of the Pokestops, which was totally completely random. I do hope to spend a bit of time in different areas around town over the next few days, and then also head down towards sort of the beach areas and water areas to see if the Pokemon vary in those particular regions. Love to get me a Magikarp and start making my way up towards getting a Gyarados. Definitely one of my all-time favourite Pokemon, as you might have seen in some of my card openings when I've pulled a Gyarados. So we're just waiting here at the lights to go around the corner and then try and grab those Pokestops as we go. But I think it depends on the GPS capabilities of your particular device as to how accurate what it is. For me, I was a Pokestop is my local post office. I was actually standing inside the post office, and it was saying me, "You are too far away from this Pokestop." So it can be a bit hit and miss as to interacting with those Pokemon. But as you can see here, further up on the road, you can see all those tufts of grass indicating that there's Pokemon there. I certainly wouldn't recommend going wandering in your local park at 11 o'clock at night to catch some of these guys, but obviously it does, like I said, just gives you a bit of an idea of the mechanics of the game. And this is as we're driving around into the city of Adelaide. As you see, as we're getting closer, there's also quite a few more Pokestops that you can interact with. That particular gym there is actually at a tram station, so not exactly standing in the middle of the road to be able to interact with that particular gym. But obviously that again does give you an idea of the location and generally showing you the Pokemon you can interact with at that gym, which as you can see there is an Ekans. You can also generally see if there are Pokemon training or fighting at the gym. The animation does change for that one as well. Here's just coming up now. Here is an example of catching a more difficult Pokemon. It was a bit harder. We're on a bit of a windy bit of road, so the Growlithe did sort of move a fair bit. As you can see, he broke out of that first Pokeball. And Alan here throwing quite a few, trying to catch him again. And so this is obviously the second time it's been in that Pokeball, and it escaped again. So certainly would indicate it's a Pokemon with a higher combat point value than some of the others. As you can see, the question marks there doesn't give it away until you catch the Pokemon. But obviously the Growlithe is just there on my dashboard as we're driving along into the city. So it can become more difficult to catch Pokemon. I've seen various YouTube footage of guys catching Charizard and stronger Pokemon than some of the basics you've seen in this video. I haven't come across any as of yet, but it'll be good to see those rarer Pokemon and see how hard they actually are to catch, and then indeed evolve if they do have evolutions. So there we go. Finally caught that Growlithe there. Again, 100 Stardust and the 3 Growlithe candy to go with that one. A combat point of 87. So you compare that to the Mankey in my earlier video, which only had a combat strength of 11. So you can see there are some quite higher combat strengths out there, and none of my Pokemon have evolved yet, so there's certainly higher scores to go from there. We're driving along North Terrace, which is a main street in the city, so obviously there's quite a few Pokestops around here as I drive along to interact with. And here we go, there's a Pidgey again, pretty low combat points there on that one, just only 10 combat points on that one, so just a little Alan having a little bit of trouble with the 10 combat point Pidgey here, but as you can see, some of those Pokemon with the lower combat points can be a little bit easier to catch. As you can see, it has, throughout the course of this video, it has drained my battery fairly significantly, but at this point there is a battery saver setting in the app which I didn't have set at this point in time, so I'll have a look over the next few days and see sort of what sort of impact that battery saver feature does actually have on the battery drain when using Pokemon Go. But as you can see here, there we go, up to level 5, which means I can now interact with the gyms. Pokeballs, potions, revives, generally work the same way they do in the game, and then of course the incense there, which again, like I said, kind of works opposite to repel and attracts Pokemon to you in the game. So we're just sitting here waiting at the traffic lights, but as you can see, looking around, there's a couple of gyms up ahead of me. The one in the far looks like there's a battle going on at that gym. I don't know whether that's live or just the fact that the gym's being contested. You can see, look, so many, this is in the city, so many Pokestops around. So hopefully I can spend some time one day, either this week or over the weekend, head into town and walk around all these areas and interact with these Pokestops and see if there's a variety of items that you can collect, or if it changes as you go up in level or anything along those lines. There's a little bit of water there in the city, so we can go along and have a look and see whether there's going to be some water Pokemon in that area as well. So we're just basically sitting here waiting at traffic lights. You can see those gyms controlled by the red team, the blue team, the yellow team. They do actually have names, I just don't have them in front of me as I'm recording this video, but I did want to get this footage up as soon as possible and show you guys a bit of Pokemon Go. Get on it and have a look for yourself and have a bit of an idea of what you're doing. I was really impressed with what I've seen straight away. So here's just a little clip of me early on. I was getting ready to go to work, and there's obviously a dojo in the bathroom, but as I was saying, I was pretty impressed with what I've seen so far. Certainly a lot in the game to keep me playing. So I'll certainly be recording a lot more footage over the next couple of days. Once I start interacting with gyms, I'll show you guys a whole heap of what's going on with gyms. Just coming up here, I'm just going to show you a quick video with the egg that I did manage to hatch in the game. It's a little bit different to the others. The purple fog you can see going around my character there, I'd actually had used the incense half an hour time period in the game. So as you can see, that the egg here, which is sitting in the incubator, you have one of those which you can use infinite times, and then you can purchase additional incubators which are sort of 3-time uses, is what I've seen so far anyway. So I had a meter to cover there, or 10 meters to cover there, so I just set about walking up and down the hallway of my house, just to try and get that egg to hatch. I didn't have to walk too far before that happened. Which happens this was, again, like I said, only a 2-kilometer egg, so I wasn't expecting anything huge from this particular egg to sort of hatch a legendary or anything like that. But this was a 2-kilometer egg, and inside that one you have a Caterpie. Pretty low combat points it ended up being. I think it was about 10 or so, but I did get quite a number of Caterpie candy. As you can see there, 8 and 1930 Stardust. So I don't know whether maybe when you get more of that in-game currency or not, but we'll have to see when I open more in the future. So thanks guys for tuning in to my video to have a quick look at Pokemon Go here. Like I said, I was really impressed with what I saw in this early parts, and I look forward to playing it a bit more in the future. So stay tuned for more Pokemon Go videos. Make sure you also check out the link in the description to my box openings that I've done recently, as well as my Mythical collection giveaway, which will be running towards the end of the month. So there's 2 Mythical collections up for grabs there. But once again, thanks guys for tuning in. Really excited to get this Pokemon Go out to you, and get this video online as soon as possible. But yeah, just stay tuned. There's certainly more to come in the coming days, and I'll see you soon.